Ladies and gentlemen, hello, beautiful souls. Today, we're going to talk about something very important, the kind of people we allow into our lives. We all know that the energy we surround ourselves with matters, but sometimes it can be tricky to know who to trust. So let's talk about how to spot an evil person in a world that's often filled with a lot of noise and distraction. There are certain people who have the ability to draw you in like a magnet at first. They seem almost too good to be true. They are charming, warm, and seem to have the perfect words for every occasion. They know exactly how to make you feel special, how to make you believe that you are the most important person in the room. And for a while, you believe them. You believe that this person genuinely cares about you, that their intentions are pure, and that they are looking out for your best interests. But here's the truth. Sometimes the most charming people are the ones who are hiding something deeper, something darker. This charm is not accidental. It's a carefully crafted weapon in a manipulator's arsenal. It's how they get close to you, how they disarm you, and how they make you trust them. They are experts at reading people, at figuring out what you need and want, and giving it to you in the form that will win your affection and loyalty. But what they're really doing is preparing to take something from you, something you may not even be aware they're after. A manipulator knows that people, especially those who are kind, empathetic, or trusting, tend to let their guards down around others who seem friendly and caring. And so they lean into this, using their charm to mask their true nature. They are extremely skilled at making you feel like you've found someone you can rely on, someone who has your back no matter what. They'll listen intently when you talk, offer advice that seems wise, and be there when you need a shoulder to lean on. In a world full of distractions and chaos, they create a sense of calm and security, drawing you in closer. But here's where it gets dangerous. Charm, when wielded by a manipulator, is not about a mutual connection or real care. It's about control. They don't just want your attention, they want your trust. And once they have that trust, they can begin to manipulate your emotions, your decisions, and your actions. Everything they say and do is calculated to create a sense of dependency in you. They want you to feel like you need them, that you cannot navigate the complexities of life without their guidance or approval. One of the most insidious things about the manipulator's charm is that it works on a subconscious level. It's not immediately obvious that you're being influenced. At first, you may feel flattered or even grateful for the attention they give you. You might start to feel like they are the only person who truly understands you. The one person who always knows just what to say to make you feel better when you're down. They'll offer you compliments that feel genuine, but they're not simply trying to boost your ego. They're working to build your trust, making you feel like they are your ally in every situation. As time passes, you might start to notice subtle shifts in the relationship. The compliments may become more frequent, and so will the offers of help, but there's something unsettling about it. Perhaps they're always the ones suggesting things, telling you what you should do, or giving you advice that seems to be in their best interest. Over time, these small, seemingly insignificant moments build up, and you may begin to feel like you can't make decisions without them. You'll find yourself leaning on them more and more, seeking their approval before doing anything, and gradually losing sight of your own instincts and judgment. The manipulator, however, is not interested in your well-being. They are playing a long game, setting up a situation where they control the narrative. They'll start to subtly criticize others around you, painting themselves as the only one who truly understands you. They might even start to distance you from people who could potentially offer you an alternative perspective, isolating you so that you become more dependent on them. And when they finally have you where they want you, they'll begin to ask for favors, things that seem small at first but gradually escalate. At first, it might be asking you to cover for them in a social setting or to do something that feels relatively harmless. But over time, the requests become bigger, more intrusive, and more demanding. And because they've been so charming, so flattering, and so seemingly helpful, you'll find it hard to say no. You'll feel guilty or selfish if you do. What's even more dangerous is that the manipulator's charm can be so convincing that even when they eventually betray your trust or ask for something that crosses a boundary, you might still find yourself excusing their behavior. You'll tell yourself that maybe they didn't mean it, or that they were just having a bad day, or that they really need you. They will rely on this sense of guilt and obligation they've instilled in you to keep you under their influence. Recognizing this kind of manipulation can be difficult because by the time you realize you're being manipulated, it often feels like you've already invested too much into the relationship to walk away. But the truth is, the charm was never about you. It was about getting you to trust them, getting you to rely on them so that they could control your actions and decisions. And that's the moment you need to take a step back, look at the situation with clear eyes, and ask yourself, am I really being treated with the respect and care I deserve? Or have I been swept up in a web of charm designed to keep me in their control? Recognizing the manipulator's charm isn't easy, but it's essential for protecting yourself from their influence. The first step is trusting yourself, your instincts, and your inner voice. If something feels off, if you start to feel drained or confused by the relationship, it's time to take a closer look at what's really going on. There are some people who seem to constantly carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. No matter where they go or who they interact with, they portray themselves as victims of circumstance. They talk about how life has always been unfair to them, how they've been wronged by everyone around them, and how they've never been given a fair chance. The problem with the victim persona is that it can be incredibly convincing. At first, it might evoke feelings of sympathy, compassion, and a desire to help. You might find yourself thinking, this person needs someone to lift them up. I can help make their life better. But as time goes on, you begin to realize that the story of perpetual victimhood isn't as genuine as it may have seemed. People who adopt the victim persona are not necessarily people who have faced genuine adversity, though that can sometimes be the case. What distinguishes them is the way they respond to challenges. Instead of seeking solutions, instead of trying to overcome difficulties, they choose to focus solely on the injustices they've suffered. And it's not just an occasional story about a difficult moment in their lives, it's a constant narrative. Every conversation seems to circle back to their suffering, and each problem they face becomes another chapter in a never-ending saga of being wronged. At first, this can seem like a cry for help. After all, it's natural to want to empathize with others, especially when they're going through tough times. You might find yourself offering a listening ear, giving advice, or providing support. But it doesn't take long for the cracks in this persona to begin to show. No matter how much you help, no matter how much you listen, they always seem to find new problems, new complaints, and new ways in which they've been mistreated. And no matter how much you give, it's never enough. There's always more to be done, more sympathy to be given, more attention to be lavished upon them. One of the key tactics of the victim persona is to evoke guilt in others. They have a way of making you feel like you should be doing more, like you should be offering more support, more understanding, and more time. And when you start to question their narrative, when you try to point out that perhaps they could take some responsibility for their situation, you may be met with defensiveness, anger, or even manipulation. They may accuse you of not caring or not understanding, further reinforcing the idea that they are the true victim in the situation. This dynamic keeps you on edge, constantly questioning whether you're doing enough to help, whether you're being too harsh, or whether you're being insensitive to their struggles. Over time, this can be emotionally draining. Instead of feeling like you're helping someone move forward, you feel as though you're stuck in an endless loop of their suffering. You might even begin to feel responsible for fixing their problems, even though deep down you know that's not your job. The victim persona creates an unhealthy power dynamic where the person in the victim role holds all the control. They are able to manipulate your feelings of guilt and empathy to keep you in a constant state of obligation. What's particularly dangerous about the victim persona is that it can disguise a much darker underlying motive. The person who plays the victim is not necessarily looking for genuine help. They are looking for validation. They want to be seen as the one who has endured the most, who has suffered the most, and who has been wronged by the world. It's a way of gaining sympathy and attention without having to take responsibility for their own actions or life choices. By constantly positioning themselves as a victim, they avoid accountability. They never have to examine their own role in their problems or take any steps to change their circumstance. Instead, they can keep blaming the world, the people around them, or past experiences for their ongoing difficulties. Another crucial aspect of the victim persona is its ability to create division. When someone constantly presents themselves as a victim, they often try to isolate others who might challenge their perspective or suggest a different approach. They may subtly undermine others who have experienced difficulties, painting them as less deserving of sympathy or attention. This allows them to maintain their status as the sole victim, the only one who has faced real hardships. It's a way of keeping everyone around them in a state of confusion, constantly shifting the focus onto their own pain and struggles. It's important to recognize that while empathy is a valuable and essential quality, you should never feel obligated to sacrifice your own peace of mind to cater to someone's never-ending victimhood. True empathy is about helping someone rise above their challenges, not about perpetuating their suffering. If you notice a pattern of constant victimhood, if the person in question shows no interest in improving their situation and only seeks to extract more from you emotionally, it's time to reassess the relationship. You cannot carry someone's emotional burdens indefinitely without eventually feeling overwhelmed yourself. The victim persona is not always easy to spot, especially when you want to be a good friend or a supportive person, but it's crucial to remember that while everyone faces hardships, not everyone chooses to see themselves as a perpetual victim. Recognizing this behavior early can help you protect your own emotional well-being and ensure that you're surrounding yourself with people who value personal growth, responsibility, and genuine connection. There's a type of person whose presence can seem almost insidious, creeping into your life and affecting your joy and success without you quite realizing how. At first, they may appear to be friendly, even supportive. They seem to congratulate you on your achievements and offer kind words. But if you pay close attention, there's something beneath the surface, a subtle undercurrent of envy. It's not always easy to spot at first because envy doesn't always come in the form of overt hostility or bitterness. Sometimes it's much more subtle, hiding behind a smile, a compliment, or a seemingly harmless comment. But once you start to notice it, you realize it's a pattern that goes beyond ordinary jealousy. It's a quiet force that undermines your happiness, even if the person never openly expresses it. Envy, when it's lurking just below the surface, can be incredibly damaging because it often operates under the guise of friendship or support. A person who harbors envy towards you may be quick to praise you in public, to celebrate your wins with you, but when you take a closer look at their behavior, you notice that their support feels empty, or worse, backhanded. They might try to minimize your achievements, downplay your successes, or make you feel guilty for enjoying your victories. This is where the damage starts, by creating a sense of doubt in your mind about whether your accomplishments are truly worthy of celebration. A person filled with envy may not come right out and say, "I'm jealous of you," but their subtle remarks and actions will make you question your own worth. One of the most frustrating aspects of envy is that it often manifests as a sort of comparison game. The envious person will start measuring their life against yours, and instead of feeling happy for you, they feel inadequate. This might seem harmless at first, but over time, it starts to create a toxic environment. Every time you share something good that's happening in your life, they either try to one-up you with their own version of the same success, or they diminish your experience by pointing out its flaws. It's like they can't handle you being in the spotlight, so they always find a way to shift the focus back onto themselves, making everything you've achieved feel less important, less impressive. This type of person often has a need to be the center of attention, or to always appear more successful or more accomplished than others. When you accomplish something, they don't just celebrate with you, they need to make sure they're not left behind or overshadowed. This could manifest in the form of casual comments like, "Well, I did something similar last year, but it wasn't a big deal." Or, "That's great, but have you seen what so-and-so is doing? They're really killing it right now." These statements might seem like simple small talk, but they are masking the envy that the person feels. In their eyes, you being successful means they are somehow falling short. And instead of celebrating your success, they make it about their own inadequacy or need for validation. Another sign of lurking envy is the person who constantly questions your success. They'll ask probing questions, trying to find an angle to criticize or diminish what you've achieved. "How did you get that promotion? What did you do to get noticed?" they may ask. Not out of genuine curiosity, but because they want to find a flaw in your journey, something they can latch onto and use to reduce your accomplishment in their mind. They might even try to make you feel guilty for reaching certain milestones. If you've worked hard for something, the envious person will likely twist that into a critique of your work ethic or your ability to achieve things the right way. What's particularly insidious about this type of envy is that it can be difficult to call out. The person who is envious of you often does not overtly express their jealousy in ways that make it easy to address. Instead, they'll hide it behind well-meaning comments or even passive-aggressive behavior. If you do recognize their envy and attempt to confront them, they'll likely deny it or claim that they were just joking or being playful. They may even deflect by accusing you of being sensitive or imagining things. This gaslighting technique keeps you second-guessing yourself, making it even harder to address the problem. Over time, if you're constantly exposed to someone's envy, it can begin to erode your own sense of self-worth. You may start to feel like your successes are somehow less valuable, like you don't deserve the things you've worked hard for. You might even begin to shrink your accomplishments, downplaying them in an attempt to make the envious person feel more comfortable or to avoid confrontation. But here's the thing. You are entitled to feel proud of your achievements. You are allowed to celebrate your wins without feeling guilty about it. No one else has the right to diminish your worth or your successes, no matter how much they try to deflect or disguise their envy. The presence of lurking envy can be emotionally draining. It's not just that the envious person takes pleasure in seeing you succeed. It's that they can't bear the thought of you succeeding without them, or in a way that highlights their own insecurities. They will do whatever they can to make sure that their jealousy doesn't show, but you can always feel it beneath the surface. And over time, that constant tension can start to wear you down. It's a subtle form of sabotage, and the worst part is that it often goes unnoticed until the damage has already been done. The key to handling someone with lurking envy is awareness. Recognize that this person may not be able to truly celebrate your victories with you, and that their support may come with strings attached. Trust your instincts and be mindful of how their comments and behavior make you feel. If you find that their envy is affecting your mental or emotional well-being, it may be time to set boundaries or distance yourself from them. You deserve to be surrounded by people who are genuinely happy for your success, not those who view it as a threat to their own self-esteem. There's a particular type of person who keeps their cards close to their chest. Someone who is perpetually mysterious, not in a charming or intriguing way, but in a way that feels off. It's not just that they have a private life, they seem to take pride in keeping everything about themselves hidden, including their thoughts, motivations, and intent. First, this might seem harmless, perhaps even admirable in a world where so many people overshare, but as time passes, you begin to realize that the secrecy surrounding them isn't about protecting their privacy. It's about something far more calculated. This behavior isn't accidental. It's a strategy for control. The secretive nature of this person serves as a way to keep others at a distance, to maintain power, and to make sure that no one can truly know them. The first sign of this secretive nature often appears as a reluctance to open up, even when the relationship deepens. They might deflect personal questions with vague answers, change the subject, or provide just enough information to make it seem like they've answered without actually giving anything of substance. They may brush off inquiries into their life, past or present, with a simple, "Oh, it's not important," or "I don't like talking about that." While everyone deserves boundaries, there's a fine line between privacy and evasiveness, and this person crosses it. The more they avoid talking about themselves, the more you begin to wonder what they're hiding. And that's exactly what they want. They want you to be intrigued, to feel like there's something important that they're not telling you, to leave you constantly questioning what's really going on beneath the surface. As the relationship progresses, you may notice that the secretive person is never fully transparent about their actions or intent. They're always busy, but never offer concrete details about what they're actually doing. They may make plans with you, but when it comes time to follow through, they're vague about where they're going or who they're with. It's as though they're deliberately creating a mystery around their whereabouts and activities, not because it's necessary, but because it gives them an upper hand. They control the flow of information and use this secrecy to